there from Wicked.
The Wicked hairs is all over the place, man.
I approve. You know what?
I think
Deficio's a hater,
maybe
but
that's
no,
why
I actually like that hairstyle.
Right
maybe that's why they're banning Quinn, so that she doesn't nest in it. So that was a little harsh. But they can ban the Jacks. They're on blue.
You can leave again.
Yeah, I'm off. I'll see you guys.
All right, Deficio, let's take a look at these bans.
Hey, they banned the Jacks because they don't want that potential last pick.
Cool.
So if you just said that, you predicted the ban.
Well, I was going to, and then I had a really bad head joke.
Yeah,
there we go. I mean, what this will allow, though, is Huma to first rotation or, early rotate the Twisted Fate, which normally wouldn't be that strong. They won't first pick it. It could come in that 2 or 3 spot here.
I mean, surely Huma would save the last pick then for Guardbro against a potential TF blind pick coming in.
The problem, though, is if you know that he's likely to blind pick the TF and they want to keep top lane for later on in the draft, unless they draft something like a Nautilus for Wicked early and kind of swap things around, I think you can fairly easily read that and kind of go Corki here and just go for a very safe mid laner for Godbro.
I mean, Huma should probably just take Corki in the early rotation. Worst case, you put it AD carry, right? And you take an assassin in the mid lane, because when you have Corki as well, it actually opens up for like Zed to be picked potentially when you get the magic damage then from your AD carry. I love this first pick though. Sir Nuxalot had a great Braum game, and I think right now he's just the strongest support, especially in these fights. And we have seen this team; they want a team fight. I like that Huma is saying, you know what? We also want a team fight now, so let's just match team fight versus team fight.
Front line already being picked up. There's the Nautilus for the top lane. Can also be flexed, and the Grag is picked up. And yeah, it's so interesting with Nuclear as well, because all he picked was Trundle for like 5 weeks, and now he's gone to Brawl.
Suddenly brings out a load of other things. So you were right. By the looks of it, it's going to be the Whirlip up in the top lane on picking that Nautilus early. Obviously, could go flexing to support. I know we've had a lot of discussions about Nautilus support and how tanky he actually is when you look at it. So I kind of expect it to go up to Whirlip unless they have something ridiculous, like they want a last pick for Whirlip as a carry.
Right.
I guess Fiora's not that ridiculous, but it's available. Should they
as long as Wolves doesn't show the top laner now, you will most likely pick support for Huma in the next rotation. And then you would show, okay, it is Nautilus top, and we want a last pick from it because you can play Twisted Fate. So that's most likely what we're going to see. Jungle pick for Copenhagen Wolves is what I expect. And then you just say, we're going to hide it because you want to see where Nautilus is going. At least it gives Wicked the possibility to go Fiora again.
Yes.
And we can maybe camp for him, because now we actually have the better jungler if you are the Copenhagen Wolves with the Elise compared to Gragas. And also Ku had that better early game in the last one. But it's also because I think Rudy kind of got screwed over by his lanes a little bit, not warding early on. Like level 3 top lane, you always have your ward down.
Gotta know it's coming.
And we had the other lock-in of Sivir as well, going back onto Panoy. It leaves Lucian up, which was actually the first pick coming in from Huma last game. They put a lot of priority in that, so we might just see another Lucian pickup coming in from Huma.
We've also seen them up towards the likes of Kog'Maw. We are on 6.4 still, so there hasn't been another wave of nerfs. Yeah, this is a fairly similar situation where they had a lot of frontline for the Kog'Maw to stay alive behind. So they do have other options if they want to go elsewhere on this. But I would expect either the Lucian or that, but it's the Ezreal I actually go with in the end of all things, with more frontline. So there is the support picked up.
It is pure team fighting from Huma. It does give Copenhagen Wolves the chance, as we said, to run a 1-3-1 comp and say maybe we want to opt out of these team fights. But they technically had that composition, or they had the option to do that in the last game, but they obviously picked the team fights because of the big frontline they had. But like Huma is basically saying the frontline is what made it impossible for us to win last game. We're gonna draft Alistar, Gragas, and Nautilus this time around. And we also take the safest AD carry on his own in an Ezreal. And like, no one is basically going to die. That's Huma's strategy here. Like, our fights are gonna last probably a minute or something like that, but no one will die. We will out-sustain the enemy by having these massive tanks.
So what do you go from here? What do you pick up, like a high damage last pick coming out from Huma, or are you just going to go for something safe in the mid lane as well?
I think Lissandra
like
here is good again, like if Lissandra. It is.
Well, Corki's just been picked up by Copenhagen Wolves, and Trundle picked up, so that'll be going on to Wicked, I assume.
Yeah, shred through this front line, take away a lot of the resistances now. So does Godbro go for something like a Lissandra that you're talking about, or does he go for something even more carry-focused, like the likes of a LeBlanc that we've seen Godbro play that kind of champion? It is available for him if he wants it. Into Corki, it's not the best of matchups. You kind of eat a lot of the Thunderlord's damage.
I think
you just come in from the front.
Honestly, Lissandra here is a pick I would like, because you then have put Copenhagen Wolves in the situation you were in yourself in the last game, where you're against double AD carry, against massive frontline and a mid lane who can actually dive into the backline and then ult to yourself. So you create a massive zone where these AD carries can't really deal damage. I think that could be very effective. Of course, against Sivir, it is annoying with spell shield, but you're not ulting her anyhow. You're ulting yourself most of the time.
Whoa, oh, is this happening? Yeah, Nautilus
Oh,
mid.
man.
Is this actually?
I mean,
We're going LCK, boys.
this is their tankiest lineup I've seen in a long time.
Is this Nautilus mid?
Yeah, instead of doing Nautilus top into Trundle, it's something LPL has been running.
The dream.
I've seen it in Korean solo queue a bit as well. Faker's been playing around with it. But
I've seen it in solo queue too, but it's been me playing it.
The Nautilus mid, yeah. KT Fly's been playing this a whole
as well,
bunch
yeah.
Like almost every week now.
LCK.
like this is literally just, we don't want to have you play Trundle into Nautilus. Hecarim has always done well into melee matchups, but same for Trundle actually. Like, I don't know how this one-on-one will go top lane. That's going to be very interesting to watch, but Whirlip and the rest of Huma is looking for big team fights here. It's just team fight on team fight on team fight on team fight on team fight. Over and over.
Well, that's we saw it in game 1 and we had teamfight composition. Now we got more teamfight compositions with even funkier picks. I, for one, are extremely excited to see how this one pans out, guys.
So if ever there was a team composition that we look at and it's going to be like, well, there's going to be no fast tower pushing, it's this one. You've got Nautilus, Gragas, Alistar, Hecarim, Ezreal. 5 champions who you look at like their actual solo ability or even grouped up to push a tower. It's like, yeah, good luck with
So
that.
slow.
Being a Sivir in this game, though, is gonna suck. Like, fairly low range, and they have like 4 tanks coming in front of you. You're like, yeah.
What do you do?
I'm just kind of gonna run around in a circle here with my ulti.
Yeah, I'm just going to pop ult and hope for the best, and maybe Channel can take some of those resistances away. Maybe Corkin can burst them. Jump back on Twitter, use the hashtag CWWin or HMA win. I saw everyone was going on the Huma camp, despite Copenhagen Wolves picking up that game 1. Now we have these interesting picks coming out from Huma. Maybe the fan vote will stay with them. We'll be finding out as we get into this game very shortly. But I just want to see how this mid lane Nautilus goes. Like, that's just all I want to see.
He's gonna farm and do nothing else.
I was going to say, there's really, like, if this game goes as it should, Nautilus is just going to stand there, get very tanky, and not lose his tower for a while, and then just start fighting you.
But if he lands that one dredge line, then Caedrel...
You valk away, and that's it. Like,
Although, you pointed this out in the loading screen, there's no cleanse, so it means the initial burst of CC isn't going to be able to get escaped. Then again, cleanse against Nautilus is kind of like trying to bail out a sinking ship with a bucket, because you can block 1 bit of CC and then 4 more come through, and it's just like, great, I've got a little bit of reduced timing on this.
Can't even cleanse a knock-up, and you don't want to cleanse dredge lines. So
Exactly.
like,
it's like,
kind of like staggering blow, and then maybe the slow. Like, there's not a lot really to cleanse out of Nautilus's CC.
But it's Caedrel's style.
yeah, sure.
Other lanes. He has the package, he now has teleport.
I mean, it's also Copenhagen Wolves saying that in pure team fights, especially later on in the game, this becomes very difficult for us to deal with. So we want to have 1-3-1 option by running TP Corki. It's not something we see often. It is his.
Did it the other week.
It is his style. It is definitely his style. But it's also because Wicked will still become late game a monster on Trundle who will shut down the Hecarim. I promised people on Twitter no lane swaps, and it was just fighting. Now we do get a lane swap.
We have got a lane swap.
Thanks, Deficio.
You can see Huma now doing what has started to become even more common, is you ward against the AD carry support invade, and then start on the secondary camp. The problem is, Ku has come in here as well. Huma don't want to fight this, so they actually lose the red buff instead of just being able to concede starting on Krugs. So they lose the buff from that now. It will obviously give Rudy the knowledge that the enemy red is up, so wouldn't be surprised to see them go over there fairly quickly here.
It's a lane swap anyways.
Yeah,
he has to go to the bottom side of the map. It's just his jungle. Again, you just divide the map 50-50, shake hands, and then you leave. And then you can start clearing out all the camps. So far, nothing surprising. Holy Phoenix is trying to just last it as much as possible, and then slow push it in. But he does need the wave to not actually die this much, because
very slow.
It's obviously going to cost him if he has like 3 super low HP minions coming and just gets one-shot by tower. It's going to make it a lot slower for Huma than to push it in.
It could be a lot of slow pushes in this.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, like, this is not dying very quickly. Top lane though, Copenhagen Wolves are already on the tower, and this minion wave should hit just as this minion dies. So perfectly done. The great thing about Sivir is you can hit the tower with Ricochet and it still kills the rest of the minions, so you throw out a Q and you've just cleared the wave, whereas the AD carries actually have to hit the minions.
But with that start from Huma though, they're really far behind on the play.
Yeah.
Like, they are super far behind on this. Copenhagen Wolves is going to kill this tower. and get the other one down to, what, 50% by the time it goes down?
Yeah, and this is one of the things that Rudy now going to the enemy red to get that, to try and hold at least his experience on his own, does punish. Is one thing we've started to see in the LCS is if the team does fall behind, you bring the jungler down. That does sacrifice jungle experience, but it doesn't sacrifice the amount of time you're spending pushing a tower. This tower is now falling after Sivir and Braum have completely recalled, and they're on their way out to this lane as well. So this is a big tempo swing in favor of the Copenhagen Wolves.
Yeah, and again, it just means that Wicked is going to get a bit more farm up here. You can see the big wave he has. There's a ward in lane from Copenhagen Wolves near the enemy tier 2 tower. So Wicked will also get a message, basically, oh, okay, he's the enemy AD carry and support coming. Last hit a few more minions, get as much farm as possible, where the Hecarim already by now should be forced off the wave. So Whirlip gets 5 CS down on the bottom side, and we didn't even see how many of them were actually jungle minions beforehand. Because that's always the tricky thing when you have the likes of Hecarim. He's gonna get a few CS while small camps or small minions that does absolutely nothing. And then he goes down and gets like 1 or 2 CS in lane, and he's behind in experience now.
Yeah, and Wicked is definitely further ahead. That was a flash over the wall I just saw there from Rudy.
He shouldn't have been on bottom side. You need to accept that you keep switching sides.
Yeah.
The bottom side jungle is no longer Huma's. They have to take the top side.
Yep, that's exactly how this should play out, but we've seen both of these teams in their regular season matchup. When it was in a lane swap, Copenhagen Wolves just fell behind in the swap after having such a good lead. Remember, they had Whirlib level 1 for like 6 minutes in the game because he could never get farm, and it was thrown away by the Wolves from having a lead, so both teams aren't super comfortable in the second phase of a lane swap.
I would have liked to see Rudy, because he was already in the enemy jungle on the bottom side, just go into the tower and fast push it down to further, you know, speed up the Copenhagen Wolves, because Wicked, because he got extra time to farm top, it obviously meant he got a bit delayed on going down to the bot lane tower. So now Huma is even out the speed they're clearing towers. I think if Elise just walked in there, Wolves could have bought even more time for Wicked to sit and farm, and then swap it to top side again and start pushing in, and then therefore keep Whirlip down. But they decided, you know what, we can just keep it even for now. Yeah. Rudy wanted one more camp. That's basically all he got.
Just to clarify, hook misses. Yeah, sorry, I was following you. Initially you said Rudy.
I mean, cool, yeah, no,
fine.
sorry, I mean, cool.
The point was completely on, you know.
I was just going like Elise, Elise was Rudy, so like, no, cool, of course, sorry for confusing.
But you're right, it does now slow down the lead that the Wolves had now. Now they're starting to push in with 4 people, and Huma is starting to half recall, what?
Copenhagen Wolves are just going to try and take this bottom tower, and I think they're just going to get it. Cass is now here. Rudy's going into
so hard.
lane. There's 2 people to stop them.
It is very much a bait often to go for that second tier 2 tower in the same lane you just push in, because it actually means your top laner will often then not get any farm, because you're pushing it all the way into tier 2 and killing that tower, and then you push it further in towards enemy inhib tower, and then you recall, so your top laner can't farm that lane for a long time. That's why you want to recall, and you actually want to swap to the other side and push for that tier 2. Because then your top lane is just sitting and farming bottom side. Meanwhile, setting up a small trap, and Wicked did catch farm because obviously there were 2 guys still on the tower over there, because Huma did exactly the same. They just decided to basically abandon it very quickly and therefore gave more farm to Wicked.
But Wolves have been wasting time after the teleport top lane. They actually had nothing to gain here, and they kept 3 people in the bottom side. Huma were trying to enclose them there, but couldn't actually get around the side. What it just meant was as you said, Wicked manages to get some farm, but it allowed Huma to readjust on the map, get the Ezreal down there very safely, didn't lose any farm because there was no way Wolves could have pushed it to the tower, and Pinoy wasn't getting much there himself either.
And that's the thing, if Huma had just bounced the wave on tier 1 top when they killed it, Wicked wouldn't have TP'd in and picked up now basically 2 extra waves.
Yeah.
He would have been with his team on bottom side trying to push for that tier 2 tower, realized they couldn't take it down in time. He wouldn't have a lane to farm then, because if he had to go top, it would be a lane pushing away from him. And then he's too squishy, he's too weak at this point, he's behind in levels normally compared to an AD carry, and then he would have been punished for it and he wouldn't have been able to farm anywhere. But because Huma didn't bounce the wave and started by saying, hey, let's also do the same and get tier 2 tower, and then realized they couldn't do it in time, they ended up actually just giving over even more to Copenhagen Wolves, and only Ezreal is benefiting at this point. which is a big problem for Huma because Wicked is going to be very strong up on top.
Yeah, well, it's just so incredibly weak. Copenhagen Wolves also, because of how this has all worked out, had members on the top side, so they'll be able to take away this Herald very easily. Gonna go to Coup. Okay.
But this is a fairly late take on the Herald. Normally what you'd see would be the top side.
But you can still push
in.
top tower.
Right, that was what I was going to say. Normally you'd have seen Huma push in, make the wave bounce, and then go down for Herald because you've seen Wolves on the bottom side. What this allows is Copenhagen Wolves on the aggressive push, on the initial push out top side, now picking up the Rift Herald to buff these minions.
And now as soon as they see 3-man top here, Wolves should just abandon the play and just put Wicked down on bottom lane where Wave is pushing in, because Holy Phoenix left that wave, so it's now slow pushing to Copenhagen Wolves, and Huma now has a dead lane where they cannot farm. They cannot farm this bottom lane. Put Wicked there to catch that wave, he gets even further ahead in farm. Because right now, it's also Holy Phoenix who's pushing out the lanes. So you always want your top lane, who's the weakest member in lane swaps, to receive the waves, and you want your AD carry, often with support and jungle nearby, to push out the waves. Whirlip can push this one like 1 or 2 waves, and then he might just feel like he's overextending.
Yeah, because there's no wards for him.
And it's not Wicked going bot. They actually put Ezreal down, oh sorry, Sivir down. Interesting, they don't value Wicked getting more farm. I guess they just want him to take the wave coming on top side, because Whirlip will push it down anyway. Yeah. And also, Pinoy is behind at this point. So I guess they're just saying, you know what, this wave is going to push in anyway. Whirlip will only get 1 more wave, and then Wicked can grab it.
Well, Huma are going to respond by trying to take Dragon here, and I think they should be able to get it. I don't think anyone's really going to contest it. Some people recalling as well in the mid lane, so this should be an easy Dragon take. Pinoy also picked up the cult early. Actually, mid lane, Godbro pops depth charge, respond with Repel. That'll be a flash from Coup, so not bad.
Ends up with it. Was a little questioning the initial depth charge,
yeah,
just
especially
you
when
know
they
the
have
repels coming out, but he uses it to force the repels so that he can then force the flash.
Oh, so nukes a lot.
Package is being delivered. Instant exhaust comes out from Cass, and the exhaust comes up. Rudy pops the ultimate over the wall while he's trying to take blue buff, and that was just a simple first blood to Cajal.
Yeah.
The first package of the game.
Cass had used his flash up on top side when he got caught by the pillar. And then he's just basically stuck around in river, got caught out. Good use of package, and Nuxalot setting up another kill on Braum, basically doing exactly what he did last game. Wicked has now returned to his lane, but instead of him getting very far ahead of Whirlip, they valued having Pinoy catch up. You can then argue, you know what, did we want our Trundle to be even stronger because he's going to be our main split pusher, and Sivir is going to be more of a utility machine against 4 tanks, basically.
Yeah,
but that's a team decision to make, right? Okay, AD carry catches up, or top lane gets further ahead.
Yeah, and you know, for Huma, if these small skirmishes where 1v1s, 2v2s kick off this early on in the game, they're going to be a little hesitant to actually take them, because their strength is a little bit later when they have items under themselves. They can take the damage from champions like a Sivir or a Corki or an Elise early on in the game. They don't want to fight in small numbers for now. They need extra time. You need the first few items completed, and then Huma are going to want to fight. So don't expect them to commit too heavily, and if they do, it kind of is likely to be a misplay.
I think Huma might have to try and just kind of throw the playbook out of the window a little bit and say we might have to just force something with like a TP Hecarim coming, flying in with his ulti, and because you have good engage like here in the mid lane.
Force of the flash from Pinoy, and another drench line from Godbro, looking for more CC. Doesn't have the depth charge from that earlier play he made onto Coup. So just get a couple summoners and just set them up for the future if they want to make more engages.
But look at how hamstrung they were there when it came to having any damage follow-up. They have all of this crowd control, and a lot of it landed there, but without Holy Phoenix for damage, without Whirlip for damage, they didn't have anybody that could get on the carries and go, okay, well, now let's use this crowd control.
No, and Copenhagen Wolves are letting Huma scale up now by trying to basically play 4v4 mid lane. You're never going to push in on that tower, because there are so many ways for Huma to engage on you, so you always have to respect it. And like Sivir walks up to tower being like, am I going to hit it once? How about no? Because I only have my spell shield at this point and there's nothing else to keep me alive. Instead, you actually want to keep playing side lane. And the wave, the Hecarim is freezing here. Technically, you wanted to play around that wave with AD carry support and jungle and push that into tower and stop Whirlip from sitting and slow building up this freeze. Because there is still a big difference between, obviously, the top laners here. By playing mid lane, you are allowing Huma to kind of slow down the game, freeze a wave, scale up, let Ezreal get his, fully stacked tier, let the Hecarim catch up a little bit. And that is not in favor of Copenhagen Wolves.
So how is like mid-game and late-game going to go? Are we going to hit a point where Huma are just so incredibly tanky and still have Holy Phoenix dishing out damage that they never die and will just eventually grind out Copenhagen Wolves in team fights? Or will Copenhagen Wolves still have the damage to deal with them and Sivir will actually get to a point where crits will start dealing damage? Is that going to happen? Or what are we expecting from late-game fights?
Even if you do get enough damage on the Sivir, dealing the damage in fights is going to be the difficult part against all this CC and these massive front lines. So I personally value Huma's late game higher because they have all these massive tanks. Obviously, if you start going like 6 items, there is enough sustain and defensive items on the side of Copenhagen Wolves that they might be able to survive all the tanks. But they need to kind of reach that point then with like 4 to 5 items where you start getting the more Mortis and late game BT and so on. But it's going to be very interesting late game for sure. There's a fight.
And Kusa's going to go down. Actually, repels up, so he goes up instead. Pinoy's looking to back away. Nice headbutt from Cass. Flashes behind Pinoy. I don't think Pinoy really has a way to get out of here. He used the flash earlier, if you remember. 2-0 off of that Herald, and I'm not even sure who it went to.
Yeah, I believe it ended up going... well, at least Wolves took it, but who picked up the Doom's Eve? I haven't
Probably
seen.
No one.
The thing was, the Herald actually reset halfway through it being taken down. Wolves were very close to finishing it, and it reset, forced to stick around longer for that fight, and Huma rumbled them. They just kind of turn up.
Okay, bro.
2 from the backside here.
Good luck with this one. New slot is coming into the play. It's going to be the Valkyrie over the wall, and Cass is already pretty low. Popped the Unbreakable as he started tanking the tower, and Huma are out. They just they looped around, went through the tower, and they're going back to base.
Well, it was going Trinity Force as well. Something Hekarims in lane swaps would never do, because you're too far behind. Like Trinity Force was the luxury snowball item for Hecarim, basically, if you get the strong 1v1 lane. In this case, probably he's saying, you know, we need some damage here, other than the Ezreal. So by going Trinity Force, I can provide that. But I think there are other items you can get late game. I don't think Trinity Force is actually worth it, really.
It's a big gold investment.
Yeah,
it's so expensive.
Honestly, go straight tank early on, and then you can get like a second or third item as a DPS item if needed. This is what this series is going to offer, by the way. Even around Rift Hills, we will get fights.
So it was smited down. Who actually gets
No one picked
stuck
up the
on
eye.
the floor still? I'm just watching the eye.
He's just kind of looking around, be like, hello, someone?
Anyone? Any takers? Anyone at all? No.
No, no,
Okay.
no
Who
one.
gets it? Is it?
Well, no one can
Rudy's
take
like,
it.
he steps on it.
Okay, Rudy's
No,
like,
no, he
can't
didn't take it.
because they didn't kill.
Oh.
Yeah, he just
Only the
yeah.
team who kills it
Of
can
course.
taunted the eye.
He just squashes it with his belly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we may not have a Rift Herald buff on anybody, but Huma right now, Godbro is like, I've got this, boys. Give me the portal, first item. We're going to push some waves with that. Nautilus isn't going to get pushed out anytime soon with himself plus the portal. Wicked's like, okay, just give me all of this.
Yeah. Doesn't give me any gold, but whatever.
Yeah.
I'll just add my
I'll
stats.
feel manly.
I saw Froggen get all of that CS the other day. I want to match his record this game. And the CZ will help me do it.
My problem is always when it comes to physical damage dealers and not tanks, and you build CZ Rod, the CZ Rod dies in like 3 seconds.
Run!
It's not really that strong. I think Huma instead should just build purely for team fights and actually not for 1v1. Because worst case, you have Corki sitting and matching the Nautilus and just wave clearing. And then you have the Trundle versus Hecarim matchup, especially late game, where Trundle is going to win that matchup. So I think Huma just goes straight for team fight instead and do like this. I like this more. Set up tower dives instead. So go. CZ Rod is a good item, but it is weaker than other team fighting defensive items.
Yeah, that's fair to say. I think in this instance, it's Godbro saying, well, we don't really have the best pushing power, and I want some MR against Corki, so I guess it works for me. So Godbro is just wanting to get that push on a little bit hard. But I think you're right. To have stronger fights, I think makes a little bit more sense with the team comp that Huma had.
It's basically win fight, then take objective, you know? Don't try and push in the tower by yourself.
Charge pipe coming in from Godbro. Big ultimate comes in from both teams, actually. Lots of CC coming down, but ultimately Cajal will drop low and get deleted. Holy Phoenix and Willow were exchanged. That was a Ricochet just picking up Nuxalot on the backside. Now Rudy and Godbro are all that remains, and 2 tanks aren't going to be able to do much here. That was a 3 for 2 in favor of the Wolves.
Yeah, and that's the first big team fight for Huma, but again, remember with some of the items here, like the Trinity Force Rush from Willip, he's actually not tanky at all. He dove in, very easily just got taken out, and then the only damage dealer is of course Holy Phoenix. If you can single him out as an Elise, you can win every fight, obviously, if you are the Copenhagen Wolves, and now the AD carries can start pushing in.
not only that, the Trinity Force is only just completed by Werlip. He didn't even have it for that
No, I don't
fight.
like it in lane swap.
He had Swiftness boots plus a cloth armor. Instead, he was kind of getting this utility and slight tankiness on top of that. So it ultimately ends up costing costing Huma the tower now in this middle lane. Here was the beginning of the fight. We'll just see exactly how squishy Werlip was here, because also no flash as you'd expect on Hecarim. It's just a one-way trip into this fight.
Yeah, he dives
He's
in.
not even full health.
So they go for the AD carry, and then Sir Nuxalot blocks a lot, and
Nice,
Werlip
like
even
tower
gets into tower, but like he dies in like half a second and almost. And then Ku just flashes on here, takes down the Ezreal that was already chunked, by the way, from Caedrel with the package. And that's a problem for Huma, because these team fights are where they want to win. When you draft a 4-tank composition against double AD carry, you are looking to win these fights, especially in the mid game. That's where you snowball, because you have enough damage on these tanks,
Right.
just from base damage. And then once you get to late game, the Ezreal has fully stacked up his tier, and you have these super, super long fights. And I guess, you know, for Huma, unless we start, as we talked about earlier, it goes like to the point where BT is there, Moore is there, maybe even Asterix is there for the AD carries, and they actually become almost bruisers.
Yeah.
Then these tanks will run out of damage, and you have these weird fights where you're just trying to slowly but surely hit them down. But until that point, these AD carries are squishy enough to die to tanks.
So does that change the dynamic then? Because we just spoke about Hecarim going for the Triforce, and now he's like super squishy. So do we hit late game and then like actually Copenhagen Wolves are a little bit better because actually Civic can get through the Hecarim? Or are we going to hit late game anyway and he just starts itemizing tank and it's still fine?
That's an interesting question, because we haven't really seen this in a while when it comes to Hecarim, especially not Triforce. So it kind of depends if Werlip has the damage to go in and like annihilate the backline super quickly, because we've seen that kind of Hecarim play where it's like you get all the way in, you're able to not only start the engage but chunk the backline so far down that they actually cannot really output damage. So if that happens, my answer kind of has to be that the Hecarim's is going to go in and win the fight, but that obviously remains to be seen.
Yeah.
It's against the Civic.
So a lot of it is very pivotal on the ultimate.
And then the problem with Trinity Force Hecarim, one of the reasons it's so good as a first item in a 1v1 lane is because like the Phage has so much value for Hecarim. Even the Sheen coming in, get like Q proc the Sheen, then auto attack, makes you very strong against melee champions. When it comes to his actual teamfight impact, I think the Trinity Force is very limited in what they will do, because you're already rushing in, you know, as a Hecarim with your ulti and you have Ignite. That damage is often enough to deal with these squishy AD carries. The Trinity Force is more, in my opinion, for the laning phase itself, but there was no laning phase.
Yeah.
So again, you have now this 5-6 minutes where he's not tanky at all, maybe even 10 minutes where he's not tanky at all, and all Copenhagen Wolves has to be afraid of is more or less this Nautilus, who also went ZZ Rot, by the way, as we talked about. So all of them is kind of slowed down how quickly they could be super tanky in these team fights.
So just as an update, Willem had some keyboard issues, but we should be getting back into game very shortly. Maybe the problem was he accidentally picked up Triforce, and that was the keyboard issue. But
Would be kind of weird with the keyboard.
Yeah. It's like, ah.
No, he selects
I mean,
items
misspelled. Yeah,
with-
he wrote it, and it was like,
he
oh,
wrote
yeah.
in like, I don't know. a
It's
tank
on
item,
German
like,
keyboard, so you got the
like,
wrong letters
Dead man's
and-
playing. It's just like, Triforce.
Yeah, I don't think that was it. Anyway, for Werlip, though, as a player, we actually started seeing him picking up Hecarim during his time on Giants, and it became the solution to a problem that Giants had with their inability to engage on that team. Giants just didn't have really a shot caller that was like, let's go do this right now. Huma haven't seemed to struggle with that too much, and on this composition especially, there is no shortage of engage from anybody
Definitely not.
else. You got Alistair, you got Gragas, you got Nautilus. So what would your feelings have been now? Obviously, it was last picked. We saw the Trundle already. Would you have maybe thought differently about like the likes of a Fiora that we've seen Werlip carry on? Like, I'm looking at other picks that were potentially available for him that maybe could have had a slightly different role.
Well, again, the big thing was they had the Nautilus, which was supposed to go top, and then they saw the Trundle, like, oh, we don't want this matchup, so we swap it to mid, and that's why you last pick it. And I think without 100% knowing the Hecarim Trundle matchup, because it's not a matchup we see very often, Hecarim especially does extremely well early on into melee matchups, because you can just spam Q on them, and it's very hard to deal with. So it also explains to me with Copenhagen Wolves lane swapping, you know, like Hecarim doesn't do well if he's being shut down early on, because he needs some fairly expensive items if he wants to be a damage dealer, especially with Trinity Force. So sit him behind a little bit in this swap here, and it definitely was the plan for the Copenhagen Wolves. And I just want to see these late game fights. I want to see where do we hit the point where these tanks runs out of damage against the AD carries, if we ever hit that point. You know, when Thornmails comes in and everything, like, what can Pinoy really do in late game fights? And do we just get these very prolonged team fights where suddenly the tanks will out-sustain the AD carries and kill them? Or do we actually reach a point where AD carries are bruiser-ish enough to stand and basically tank the damage? And then it's up to Holy Phoenix on this Ezreal being like the only damage dealer late game.
Maybe, because the fights we've seen so far is like Hekun's jumped in, immediately died. Like, you know, Holy Phoenix is still very squishy at this point. So we definitely haven't hit that stage, but even so, the tanks were still staying alive. Like, we had like an Alistar and a Nautilus still alive at the end of that. Yeah. They were still trucking. But yeah, Copenhagen Wolves, will their damage run out? Right now, they're hitting spikes because they've got like, you know, Triforce in the mid lane on Corki, Essence Reaver in the bot lane, almost 2 items spike from Pinoy.
I wonder if we're gonna see Kadril baited into the Last Whisper buy on Corki that we look at and we're like, stop buying Last Whisper on Corki, because he's gonna at some point think, well, I have to get through this resistance somehow. So does he go for that? I would maybe prefer to see him go for something like a Blade of the Rune King. It's not the best item that synergizes well with Corki. But then again,
it's go AP carry at that point. It's like, oh, nice armor you have here.
I just wonder, because what is that itemization now for a Corki against so many tanks? That's kind of my question.
But do you remember that Luton's Triforce build? What else? Something
Haunting Guys.
No, Haunting Guys.
Yeah. Maybe he goes that route.
AP Corki mid lane build we saw some time ago. But for Copenhagen Wolves, they know at least now that Huma is actually not that strong. And you are at the point where you can kill these frontliners, where you can actually take these fights, and you want to try and push your advantage. You're 2,000 gold ahead as well, and you definitely have the advantage when it comes to pushing lanes. With Sivir Corki, compared to all these slow tanks, like, you will always have first priority on pushing in these lanes.
All right, who's going to use the ultimate here? Gragas, yeah, you pop the ultimate up. Now Holy Phoenix, you throw it in on Sword of Shadows. Yeah, I guess we have to use that now on this wave.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh,
it goes wide on the minions. What was that even meant to do? I mean, they always could, like, it's not like the minions, like, sidestep or anything. It's
Wicked shouldn't be here, though. Maybe expected Wicked. No, they didn't.
Don't try and justify
No,
it.
He expected Wicked to be in the bush, so he's trying to maximize, get the minions.
I was about to say he would put down the pillar, but there was his own minions, and then, like, he would try and, like, kind of curve them around. But I think Wicked right now should just be sitting in side lane. He has TP. I know there's a lot of hard engage on Huma, and he maybe doesn't want to come in a bit too late, but you want to really maximize your jungle because he's able.
Flash Q, engage. Cass hasn't popped the ultimate just yet, and he may have done it a little too late, but he's still alive. Teleport now coming in from the bottom lane. Wicked is in full retreat with the rest of his team, but Whirlup, he's going in. He's going on to Kadril. He's already low himself, but the flash is being used. That was a nice stun coming out from Ku, but he may have sacrificed his life for it. Onslaught of Shadows is used to catch up to Kadril, but doesn't land for the fear. And with kiting of the auto attacks, it may be enough. A big crit to finish him off. And Whirlup goes down. That ultimate not connecting was huge there onto Kadril.
Very good engaged by Huma, though. Pinoy, so greedy when we get the replay here. He uses Spell Shield just on a normal Gragas barrel, and then he actually walks in to try and auto attack on minions or the tower with no Spell Shield. So instant cast just flashes onto him with Alistar, knocks him up, knocks him back in, kills the AD carry. You cannot do that. Like, you're Sivir here, you're supposed to sit with your spell shield. Look here. Look at the barrel from Rudy. He spell shields this one just to gain mana. And now he moves forward. Instant just gets punished. Pop, dies. You can never make those mistakes against so much engage here.
Because that's your substitute for an escape, is you have to hold that for the security, and then you're basically forced to flash out anyway. So not only does Willib's ult not quite connect on this, he also goes for to swing the scythe with his Q here. As look at this as they're running, it's like max range. Willib's like, come on, doesn't quite get it.
And the crit,
yeah, feels bad.
More fighting,
out of replay into a fight, and we may have a disengage here. I mean, Wicked did TP into this one.
He's too fat.
Oh
no, he got it.
Yeah, he's delirious. Don't worry about it. Wicked,
tuck in the stomach, like, move around.
It's like he's trying to squeeze across, and yeah, it's just, damn, this suit can't take it off at all. That's the other problem, you know. With like Gragas, it's kind of like flexible in some way, but with Nautilus, like you're kind of screwed by
flexible is not the one way.
Just kind of like Jello, right? Like
we're gonna see like Olympic gymnast Gragas skin going out.
I imagine it more like a pudding, you know, like because it's kind of like wobbly.
What, just assumes the shape of whatever.
That's not really how it works.
Is it not though?
100%. I mean, there's a little bit of it. I guess
you a scientist,
there is
Deficio?
some.
I don't know if a scientist would give me the answer I'm looking for, but
Just a general scientist. It doesn't matter.
yeah.
I would love to see anybody whose like job description is just
General
scientist.
scientist.
Just scientist.
Pretty
nothing
badass.
else.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah. I was gonna say what would you specialize in, but he's a general science.
Science.
Yeah. Okay.
It answers itself, Pulse.
Gabro is setting up a small trap, but he's not trapping anyone.
No. And even if he finds someone, what's he gonna do? Like, he's Northless with ZZ Rot Sunfire. Wicked goes up there, he probably loses. He's actually 3-0-1 in this game. He's just gradually been picking up kills in these fights and just not dying.
Interesting build from Wicked. Not aiming for Titanic Hydra. In basically a game where he's supposed to be the one-split pusher. He wants not only the ability to push the lanes faster, he actually also wants the ability to take down people 1v1. But he's building for team fights more than anything. So we are going to see the same situation where both teams have a few elements of split pushing, but it just ends up in where the other team, can we fight them? Go, TP in, let's fight. I think it is going to really limit the impact for Wicked. It's mainly now going to be about just taking away tank stats from Guardbro most of the time. Would still like him just to be like actually a massive threat in a side lane, because it is difficult for Huma to stop him. They would have to just engage fights every single time.
Don't worry, he's adapting to the series, because we know there's just going to be fights all the time. So it's like, well, yes, I am a split pusher in this game, and we're looking for the 1-4, but we've had a lot of fights, so I'm just going to go for this team fighting build. Could go 1-3-1 with K-Draw, but K-Draw has often been with the team as well. Goes for the rapid fire cannon for a bit of poke, looking to siege down these turrets, so when you get in that situation, you just pop one auto attack and chunk the tower down little by little.
Pinoy with the most easy read adaptation ever, rather than opting for the likes of an Infinity Edge or BT or anything like that, is going straight for that Lord Dominic's right now. It's just like, you've got a lot of armor, you're tanky. Okay, well, this is annoying that I have to do this, but let's get that difference in percent health that will come from it.
Yeah, not as fun as like third item Last Whisper when that was a thing back in 5. Like, you just don't feel good about the purchase. That's
no, never.
No. Copenhagen Wolves did push Huma off of this dragon, but that means there's going to be a fight. On Sword of Shadows onto 2 people. Pinoy is gradually getting damaged down. He's going very deep into the fight, actually goes into the bottom side. Whirlup and Cass are dropping low, and Whirlup will be dropping. So will Rudy. Now he's still alive, but the turnaround onto K-Draw, who'll be dropping. And now Holy Phoenix is trying to go onto Ku, who was separated from the pack somehow. This fight just got incredibly messy all of a sudden, and Holy Phoenix is trying to chase him down. He'll eventually get him one last Q, but that was ultimately a 4-for-1 for Whirlup. What even happens in that fight?
Well, it's the same thing again. You know, there's so much engaged for Huma, and everyone can just dive in except for Holy Phoenix. They get to the back line of Copenhagen Wolves. Look kind of shaky. But then Gabro enters the fight. You know, mid lane Nautilus, highest level in the game, super tanky at this point. And also, again, Nautilus base damage is pretty insane. And he just walks in, he's like, bonk, bonk, double kill, Baron.
Yeah, comes in.
Because I saw Rudy and Cass drop so low, I was just like, wow, this fight's done.
Yeah, but then Godbro comes in, as you said, with the not only the base damage from Nautilus, he's got Sunfire Cape, he's got the additional AP a little bit mixed in there. Yeah, exactly, with he just ripties. Rudy!
Oh, no, that's actually the smite. That could have been bad. It could have been a Winter's Might coming out from Sunduk. That actually could have, because everyone backed away just assuming it was dead. That could have gone real badly.
To G2 Fnatic, dying at the back of the...
All right, let's see the engage. So Godbro's not here. And like, by the way, we almost never see team fights around dragons anymore, but this series is going to offer it. So engage from Kaz again, dive onto K-Draw. He doesn't die at first, and Godbro is still not in the fight. He's still running in at this point, so it looks bad for Huma. But then this super strong Nautilus just joins in, smack 2-man down, and like, he's not even taking damage. His shield didn't even break until now. I think even the cooldown probably it just expired.
Yeah, man, Godbro coming in on this Nautilus. It does kind of highlight how strong as a pick Nautilus is. Yep. It's like, well, you can play it top, you can play it mid, you can play it support, but support's like not quite the best role out of the 3 of them. You can just play it as a very safe pick.
And you can just build tank, and you can
build anything.
Destroy almost everything in a 1v1.
He's one gauntlet for some damage, fantastic.
Next will be like Abyssal Scepter.
Abyssal Scepter, Gunblade. I saw that build the other day where it was like Devourer, Jungle, Nautilus. And
I don't want to see that.
It's not good though because it's a dot. It's
of course it's not
I
good.
don't want to see it.
Thank you very much for that information. It is not good.
No, but even if you break
science.
it down, like because it got a pentakill on us, it's like, oh, this is interesting. But it doesn't even make sense in this kit. I remember like when Trace was running Nautilus a lot last season, he would run like attack speed or ran attack speed, and then like I just didn't understand it because actually going for penetration and hybrid pen is just way better in runes.
That little bit of attack speed does help Nautilus a tiny amount when you're walking through a fight.
Man, like
a little
like
bit.
swinging the anchor so slowly.
But every little helps in team fights when you've got to auto like 3 people.
Right.
But I don't think Devourer is the way to go in that. It's like, hey guys, wait, I need 30 minutes. And then
Devour
I'll
is
come in
never the
here
way to go
with this
Nautilus,
double swing. I
ever.
brought a wolf, I brought my
We're
pet.
talking about attack speed wins here.
Yeah.
And
maybe.
Devourer. But
And
so
Devourer. Wow,
bottom
you
lane
don't
is
all
being
in.
sieged in here by Huma.
Look at that attack speed.
Look at that attack speed. It's definitely paying off in the bottom lane. Also the ZZ Rock with those minions exploding on the town.
Oh yeah, basically doing everything in this game.
Yeah.
Winning the game.
I mean, but we talk so much about
Whoa, that was a fast
these team fights from Huma. Just Copenhagen Wolves. It's so hard to like make the right decision because technically, I think they had a better chance of winning if they just tried to play split push with Tronvu, but they built him for team fight. So they're basically saying we want to fight you, but that's what Huma's comp wants to do. Just wants to fight and fight and fight and fight and fight. Especially when they are still so strong, where they have enough damage on these tanks to kill the AD carries.
Yeah, and you know, you've said it already, and we've seen it in action. The way that Sivir wants to wave clear, she's somewhat short range to get that first auto off with Ricochet for the static proc. So when she steps forward, it's like, well, do you have spell shield or not? Because if you don't, we're just going all in. And Pinoy's even used his, you know, poorly a couple of times in this game, and that's been capitalized on. So regardless of the fact that Huma had, we said, slow pushing capabilities with the Baron, they got a good few towers for their Baron power play. Now they will get slowed down a touch, but it's all going to be on Pinoy.
Again, it's all about win, fight, take objective.
Yes.
Don't go to the objective first and be like, oh, let's try and siege with Alistar and Hecarim, you know? That's never really going to work for you. But at this point, they got Baron now, and they are pushing on the bottom side. They're still like just looking for another fight to really break into the base of Copenhagen Wolves.
But Huma don't really need to be here right now. They all got about 2,000. Some have got 1,000 gold on them right now. Teleport's coming up for Whirlib, so actually conceding a bit of the map pressure right now isn't the worst thing. You can go back, buy, reset for your next fight. There's no Dragon, there's no Baron, there's no easy towers to take. This is the time for Huma to slightly relax, come back stronger, and look at setting up another teleport play with Whirlib once you've sorted your lanes out. They desperately want this top lane, though. They absolutely want this top tower, and it's slowing the game down because they're not going to get it.
Meanwhile, got Godbro going from lane to lane, just picking up farm left and right. He's going in here, gonna farm some minions. There we go. He's on 273 in this game, so it's been having a pretty fun game, honestly.
Next stop, 876.
Yeah, here we go, on the way.
And the expected laning phase from an Nautilus in mid. Push lane, or try to. Farm a bit more. Try and farm a little bit extra, and then...
Big whistle!
Oh, is there a fight
yes,
coming?
it actually was.
DPS Nautilus incoming.
I mean, no one can kill him anyway, so you might as well just go for Abyssal at this point.
I like how Holy Phoenix is just itemizing against Wicked, basically. Like, alright, you know what?
I see you, Wicked.
We got Last Whisper early on as well. We got Blade the Rune King, you know. Wicked is gonna try and kill him, but it's never gonna happen in like a million years. I think, again, this build from Wicked just really makes zero sense.
Just get kited.
Deadman's Plate has also been nerfed so many times now. He doesn't really have a way of getting to Holy Phoenix. He doesn't have a way of killing Holy Phoenix, even if he gets to him. And he doesn't have a way of winning a split push war because of his item choice.
Yeah.
Like, the damage on your bot lane is almost non-existent.
Don't worry, guys.
And then Gabro's gonna hook himself to the wall.
See ya.
Ezreal came through. Optimistic. Just a support.
Wait,
well, Rudy's dead.
Oh, Rudy! What happened? Copenhagen Wolves just found him. Cass is going to flash over the wall to his team. Going to be popping the Unbreakable Will. Comes in with the combo onto Pinoy and Ku. Holy Thing's putting damage on the backside, and Whirlib is just kind of walking around in circles because he can't really help the cow at this point. Nice 2 pickoffs by Copenhagen Wolves, but we didn't see the setup to that.
No, suddenly Rudy was just dead.
And the weirdest thing about that is Rudy dies and Huma are like, we can still fight this. We've still got 2 tanks left here and 1 in bottom lane. But we knew that Godbro couldn't TP out because Wicked was right on him, auto-attacking the entire time. So really weird choice to follow up.
I mean, Wicked can stick to these targets. It just takes him a lot of time before he kills them. So Rudy just gets caught going basically into clear ward, and then he goes down. A lot of CC from Wolves kills him. Meanwhile, the rest of Huma was like kind of split up. Some of them were trying to push in top lane. Just a bit greedy, moving in on your own. You know, pushed away first,
then going back in,
then move in. Yeah, that's obviously for them now. Kind of feel like maybe they're a little bit too strong in their mind. But step one is always push the lane first, then walk in and get vision. Because you want to see the enemy team sit in their lane defending against these minions. You don't want to walk in blind to the jungle, clear out wards, because then suddenly you can get caught out.
Well, at least they made that play after the Baron play, so they didn't mess up their stat. So they did have a pretty good Baron play.
That is the smallest of silver linings I think I've ever heard.
Well, they are still ahead of this game.
When you become a caster, it's all about the stats.
It is,
about
yes.
storylines. It doesn't matter what happens in game.
That's true. Doing very well on this pick. Not sure if it fits the comp, but doing very well. Holyfing is now taking up this dragon pretty easy. Currently on 3, so actually 5 dragons is not too far away from this one, but unlike the last Challenger finals, we've had a lot more action leading up to those dragons.
Yeah,
They've kind of just on the side, yeah. It's like, oh, we had a fight, we've got some spare time, we're gonna take dragon now. Whirlib trying to put a bit of damage down, but
the thing is for Huma, they've got a couple of options here. They can either look to try and start a fight with the flank, or their actual counter engage on a Baron bait is super strong.
Get out.
They're not going to get him though.
He's going to flash over the wall, actually, so they burn his flash. And now Cass engages with Godbro. How tanky are these tanks? Whirlib with the ultimate moves on to Q, but Pinoy and Cajal are putting so much damage down in the back lines. There's a big ultimate from Rudy. He still held on to it, and that will take down Pinoy. Nuke Slot also fell, and Whirlib, he's so fast. He gets onto Cajal. Does he have the Valkyrie soon? It doesn't matter. He'll have to back away. The rest of the team are not as fast as Hecarim on that horse.
And this is the thing, is like Huma, they didn't even have to bait at the Baron. They just baited with Holy Phoenix in mid lane, where it's just like, well, you kind of have to somehow catch Holy Phoenix if you want to win this game, Wolves, and they get baited in. Instantly, the counter engage comes from Huma, and it looks like at the front end of the fight, there's the damage from Copenhagen Wolves, but it just starts running out.
Now being hitting them here. Baron, because Huma just decided to go Baron. That's Whirlib going down. Wicked is going to be exchanged. Godpro is still tanking on the front, but Holy Phoenix is now the one to chase after. Doesn't predict the Mystic shot correctly there. And that was more kills, more fights, more deaths, and now the Baron is still alive.
Yeah, to stop the Baron. I think maybe Wicked was standing tanking the Baron in the end of the fight.
Yes, he was.
This is the all-in engage, saying, oh, maybe we can kill Holy Phoenix. Most of the damage is gone. But now it just sets up these tanks here, and then look how difficult it is. Yes, you get Godbro down fairly low. Whirlib flies in. Now Rudy with a great ulti on this Gragas here onto these 280 carries, knocking both Pinoy and Cadro into the team. And we can just see, like, if Copenhagen Wolves can get maybe 20 seconds of a fight, they can take down one of these 2 or 3 of these tanks.
Yeah.
But you don't get 20 seconds because you have to step close enough for the Gragas to hit you back, for the Alistar to CC you, for the Hecarim to reach you. And that makes it so tough. Let's see what happens here, because Wicked comes in with the rest of the team. They're actually in a pretty good spot to stop them and maybe get even more kills. I don't want to see who gets closer to the Baron, because Wicked, he's just tanking both Holy Phoenix, and now he tanks the Baron as well. Just a little bit in the end, but it wasn't the main one.
And even Cajal was dropping low from that, and just had the small chase at the end from Holy Phoenix. If that Q had landed, maybe it would have been a kill, but yeah, so close, yet so far in that chase.
And like Holy Phoenix is going to be the last boss here.
Yeah,
that's the worst part. You go through to like the final 4. And then Lance is standing in the end as Holy Phoenix here, and you gotta take him down as well. And he's super strong. He's a late game Israel. Like, he will basically.
That's true. I don't remember the Elite 4 taking so long to take.
Oh, it's Elite 4, not the Final 4. Elite 4, almost the same.
Yeah, yeah.
It's been a while since I got.
Don't worry, just something Danish translation. I'm sure it was fine.
Part of me would love to know what they were all called in Danish. I'll have to find that out after. So this damage dealt right now. The damage dealt for this was without the Baron.
I mean, technically you could name him whatever you want.
I'm just gonna keep talking about this graphic. Otherwise,
I called it stress.
Otherwise, Spellsy, our stats guy, is gonna get mad if I don't talk about his nicely prepared graphic here, and you guys are just talking about Lance. But that was for the first portion of the fight without the Baron. There we go. That took like twice as long, and for the both of you, it wasn't Lance at the end. You had to fight either red or blue or whatever you named your opponent.
Yeah, so what if I named him Lance? His name was Lance.
You'd be stupid.
Again, I didn't name him Lance.
Everybody named him something offensive. Let's put it that way.
I did.
I'm not going to say what we named him.
Baron is being started. Wicked has no TP. Wicked has no TP. Boys.
Oh,
get ready with the play-by-play.
I'm just waiting for Whirlib to go in. That's going to be the cap.
Oh, Whirlib behind him now.
Here comes the TP. Wicked's off to the side. And Werleb is going to give him a high five and run straight onto Baron. He needs to secure the Baron right now, but they're in the pin. It actually goes to Werleb, so he actually gets it. But now Godbro is trying to tank up everyone on Copenhagen Wolves, and this is just a bloodbath. What is happening? 5 for 1. At least they got the Baron, I guess, but Copenhagen Wolves may just... could they finish the game? Like, how much time do they have here?
Well, there's still 2 towers before they even get past the inhib, so there's no minions just yet. That will slow them down. Tower goes down. Now, minion joins, reduces some of the armor and everything.
Well, you talk about the towers, but it's the return of the Troll King right here as Wicked's pushing up into the base. This is inhib going down. 30 seconds left on the death timers. They could actually just end.
Yeah, I actually think they just have the time. 10 seconds left coming in for Cass. I'm not sure how much he can do. There's still a minion wave there, but Wicked, he's able to tank up these towers with the build he's gone for, with the minions there as well. Copenhagen Wolves, even though Huma were all over the walls through most of this game, Copenhagen Wolves still come up with the win. They should be able to get this, but there's actually some respawns coming out. It's going to be the Nexus going down. Copenhagen Wolves, 2-0 in this series.
Jeez, man, Huma was... honestly, in such a good position. They were winning the fights. They were almost unkillable. Holy Phoenix that hit late game. Rush into the Baron because they saw Wicked bot lane with no TP. They're like, start the Baron. But they're forgetting you are the full tank team.
Yeah.
You do not kill the Baron very fast. You will take damage from it. It will reduce resistance and everything. And then like the Werleb TP where he's like, hi guys, Baron, you know, he sprints into the Baron.
You've got 4 people there that can engage that fight, and nobody said, let's just fight with the numbers overlap.
They wanted the Baron, but
you're supposed to turn.
They committed so hard on that Baron. They were basically half dead before they went for the fight.
Trundle was still like in mid lane. So Werleb TPs, you turn around, Gabriel just clicks his ulti literally on a target, and then you just pile onto them and you win the fight because Trundle is not there.
That was so weird. I just wasn't expecting Werleb to just like teleport in, high-five them, and then go to like Baron. It's just like, why not just ult or hit them or do anything?
I'm not sure.
But at least
I'm really not sure.
The smite
I don't know.
The smite didn't go down. It was actually Werleb securing it. So I guess like
Huma looked better in this game, though.
800 power play and lost the game. So
Huma looked a lot better in this game.
Yeah,
I know. I liked the setup they were running. I liked it. Oh, hey, surprise! It's Nautilus mid lane. Gabriel had a fantastic game on it.
Should have won.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But that's the problem though. Like they still lost the game. It's like Edge of Tomorrow when 98% of the film was good, but then you had the end right there where they just threw the game, and it's just like, well, I'm sorry, but you still lost.
They better hope it's Edge of Tomorrow so they can go back and learn.
They have one more chance.
Maybe we should just
out of
engage
this like very soon. I don't know. Like
I mean, this crushes you in
yeah.
EU5.
That's a tough game to lose at the end.
Is it, you come in with a strat, it's like, this is working well for us so well, but one mistake.
3 games in a row, they got to win now.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that game. Hopefully, as can, as Copenhagen Wolves pick up another game.
Thank you very much, Pulse. The stage is set for a reverse sweep if it happens because the Copenhagen Wolves ended up pulling out the win all the way in the end. Let's take a look at the final Baron fight that closed the deal. I think, Trevor, it was you that said 2 minutes before that, if it goes 10 minutes longer, Copenhagen Wolves win this, and they win it right here, or it was Greppo.
Well, it was Greppo that made that
It was both of us saying at the same time.
You know, in this particular team fight, we didn't see the build-up, but Werleb was actually sitting on a TP in the base for an incredible amount of time. It bought all the time in the world for Wicked to make it up, and exactly as Deficio was alluding to on the table, on the caster desk, if Huma had actually peeled away and started the team fight instead of sticking onto the Baron, they had options. Yep. Because multiple times for the previous 25 minutes, they were able to shut down Siva or Corki in a team fight and just allow their tankiness to win.
Yeah, and obviously we see the teams here going over some like strategic changes, hopefully, coming in the next game, because a lot of them are needed on both sides. But there was a hesitation. Hesitation is the seed of defeat. Wicked was in the bottom lane prepping that wave right there without teleport. They were afraid to pull the trigger because they felt comfortable in these team fights, but the mid-game like damage spikes of these tanks, it falls off later in the game. Obviously, once this Corki and the Sivir get more items, if they didn't get untouched in the fight, just as we saw, Copenhagen Wolves can turn it. But the whole build-up for the game, though, is also worth talking about.
Yeah, we talked about in the first game about a 50-50 in the early game for the Copenhagen Wolves. Here, again, they threaded the needle because in another circumstance, they might have not won that fight, but you wanted to take a look at their early game once again and how they took it on this time.
Yeah, I want to go through the flow of the game. It starts first off with the lane swap from Copenhagen Wolves. For a team that has issues deciding whether they should teamfight or split push though, the lane swap was played very well. So they initially got the tempo lead on the first tier 1 in the top lane. They swapped to the bottom perfectly, grouped up here, and they forced a poor reaction out of Huma. Huma tried to mirror too slowly and sent some of them bot. So what Wicked does here then is just teleport to the top lane, and he picks up a lot of farm there, and later on they will hand off the wave to the Sivir. Overall, just a really good understanding of lane swapping by Copenhagen Wolves.
And it was great to see the natural progression as well, leading up to this tower push. Crepo is discussing the use of the Rift Herald, or what the options were, and how we're starting to see teams that nail steps 1 and 2 of lane swaps are now adding on the Rift Herald to their play. Maybe you can say the Copenhagen Wolves were either a step late or they elected to do something different, but it's great to see this evolution in the map play as the early game plays out.
Yeah, like what they do here, like they give that wave to Wicked, then they give it to Sivir, they pick up the Rift Herald, and then they go for the Siege swap. This is like a perfect phase 3 of a lane swap, something we don't even see of some lower tier LCS teams. Obviously, it's becoming more common. They go for the Siege and burn some summoners here, so this is a really good early aggressive move in the lane swap from Copenhagen Wolves.
And of course, the fact that Jisuika actually lost his flash there meant when he was clearing out wards in about a minute and a half time in the river, he didn't have a defensive tool, got surprised, and gave up first blood to the Copenhagen Wolves. So that whole pressure play that took 4 minutes did eventually result in a net kill, in a positive for the team.
Yeah, because that, that focusing on the Rift Herald also sponsors a couple of fights around the objective, as objectives do, and you want to take a look at one specifically that
So that was a good Herald.
Well.
This time is an example of a bad Herald overall. Look at it, Copenhagen Wolves trying to do the same, but oh no, they didn't watch the patience bar. Herald runs out of patience, resets, and now obviously Huma's like, you guys are still doing this, Herald? You know what? Let's fight. 2-0 overall here, and it completely breaks the momentum of the game.
And this was actually one of the first big moves that allowed Huma to get control. They get some kills, they find some targets. Pinoy was a little maybe hesitant with some of his spell shields later on and gives up kills. And another good example of a team fight where Cagel initiates without the support of his top laner, and it gets turned around.
Wicked does not have teleport at this moment in time. It's another example of Copenhagen Wolves not having the bigger picture in mind. They really need Nukeslot to really carry this fight. Not only does he slow the Alistar on the way in, he then gets the perfect Braum shield up that allows Corki to weave in 3 more spells. That in turn allows the Elise coup there to really clean up 2 or 3 kills. So yes, Copenhagen Wolves win that fight. But if you look at it holistically, like strategically, it was a poor fight to take. You don't Valkyrie into the mid lane blind when you have teleport disadvantage. But due to the merit of really good individual plays, they keep fighting on, like getting out of these fights with their team fight synergy. But the setup is lacking, and it's really hard. It's sad to see because Copenhagen Wolves, they play this lane swap so well. They draft pretty well, but then they miss that key element, whether it's one time you need split push, one time you need team fight. It's really hard to call. But obviously, if we want to rate them LCS level, these are things they still need to improve.
Yeah, however, in this point in time, Huma is just even a little step under them, so they get away with it. Last replay is of Huma running away with the game, and at this point, really being in control due to that, of course, Nado's pick in the mid lane helping out a lot as well.
This is actually the prelude to that play. We'll see the other play here. It's just another example of, I mean, Copenhagen Wolves did well, but they're playing greedy here. Right here, they're sieging 5 men to push their advantage. They should have Wicked split pushing, because obviously the engage comes in and the teleport right here. It leads into a Baron fight where, in my opinion, they shouldn't be contesting this. We had the Corki earlier in the top lane pushing too, and they tried to fight their way out of every situation.
Yeah, and this is just another example of how the Huma team comp can deal with the threats when given enough time. Godbro, while he arrived late to the fight, there was enough time and enough threat in terms of ultimates blown that Godbro was able to clean up. He gets a double kill and then continues to push around. The problem was, again, we see Copenhagen Wolves at times not split pushing, not making that extra step with their team comp. We see Huma picking fights or playing fights incorrectly. These teams are like 70, 80% of the way there in terms of the decision making, but under the lights, under the stage, under the finals, making those snap calls that end up costing, or in Huma's case, in Copenhagen Wolves' case, winning them the game.
Yeah, but Huma did play that fight very well. They really understood that they were strong. They had 2 dragons already from the earlier lane swap. Then they went for the 3rd. They forced Copenhagen Wolves' hand though into like an unforced error. Copenhagen Wolves could have cross-mapped with split push, but I like what Huma did there. Is like, okay guys, 3rd dragon, let's put some pressure in it. Team fight with our base damage is still viable on our tanks, and they won that fight convincingly.
But in the end, the Copenhagen Wolves forced the 2-0, and it's do or die for Huma as we approach Game 3 in this best-of-5 set. Don't touch that browser. Our coverage continues right after this.
Big ultimate comes in from both teams, actually. Lots of CC coming down, but ultimately Cajal will drop low and get deleted. Holding Phoenix and Whirler were exchanged. Oscar the Shadows is used to catch up to Cajal, but doesn't land for the fear. And with kiting with the auto attacks, it may be enough. Oh, big crit to finish him out. Tanky are these tanks. Whirler with the ultimate moves on to Q, but Pinoy and Cajal are putting so much damage down in the back lines. Onto Baron. He needs to kill the Baron right now, but they're in the pin. That's because the Whirler, so he actually gets it. But now Godbro is trying to tank up everyone on Copenhagen Wolves, and this is just a bloodbath. What is happening? Copenhagen Wolves still come up with the win.